Hello, hello. This is Tando from Cosmic Spark, and I'm back again with another reading, another collective reading. I've already done a pre-shuffle. I haven't really properly looked at it, but we will just start interpreting and go from there. If I need to pull any more cards, I will, okay? The first card we have is Eternal Center from the Magical Spirit Oracle by Alexis Raccoon. It says, Guru, protection, and peace. There is a place within me, still, calm, steady, and eternal. This is giving me some reflection because I feel like ever since the lunar eclipse last Friday, the energies for me personally have been a little bit off. I've been feeling a little lackluster, but I've been focusing more on doing spiritual baths and protections, protecting and preserving my own energy, etc. And typically with collective energies, they are universal. So I feel like it's important that we're getting this message. Also considering that Venus is in retrograde, Mercury is in retrograde at the present moment. What else? We've just started eclipse season on Friday. So this is actually a time to preserve your energy, to be more watchful and mindful and not to be reactive. Just sit back and observe yourself, others, and then make conclusions based on sustained watchfulness, if that makes sense. And so I feel like these cards are just reminding us that whenever we're seeking inner peace or whenever we're seeking peace, the best place to find it is inside and the best place to focus on it. So if your environment is currently feeling chaotic, then the best thing to do is to center yourself. If your environment is currently feeling chaotic, then the best thing to do is center yourself internally. You can't always force people or force your environments to reflect the peace you feel or to reflect the values that you have on the inside. You might feel like you're a really peaceful person, but life right now is trying you and testing you by having all of these cooked things happening around you. While you can't necessarily always stop the bad things from happening, you can't stop yourself from having a dark night of the soul. You can't always stop. There's things that are meant to happen. They are fated events. What you can do is to ride the wave, find peace on the inside. Get yourself into a place of feeling like you are unconditionally giving to the things that you want to give to, and being very strict about not giving to the things that you think will drain you or don't fit for this present time. Don't be out here trying to force yourself to hang out with some people that you don't want to hang out with. This is not the time for that. This is the time for you to be finding joy on the inside, finding joy within yourself, doing things that bring you ecstatic joy. This could be, dancing. I always love to recommend dancing as a spiritual act, an act of gratitude for your body, for this life, an act of gratitude for your ancestors as well, if that's something that you believe in, an act of gratitude to God or Source, if that's what you believe in, and also just when you dance, I don't know why I'm so fidgety today. I'm just like watching myself and I'm like, why am I thinking of doing all these things during the video? I'm so sorry. I'm just seeing things and being like, okay, let me straighten that. Having a bit of a neurotic day. I feel like when you dance, you feel so, so, so alive. And I think sometimes we need that feeling, and alive in like a good and healthy way, And so I am getting an image of you dancing, maybe painting, doing some pottery, watching TV, like just staying home because it's that season, at least for us in the Southern Hemisphere, things are starting to slow down energetically. So autumn is typically a season for harvest. And then once we've harvested, and the trees get dry, and they die off, and leaves fall, and we prepare for winter where everything is dead. Well, in autumn, it's just the process of like the leaves slowly getting to that stage of the death process, and then eventually falling off and allowing for new life to begin, right? So at least if you are in the southern hemisphere, 100% this is the time. But I'm not saying it only relates to people in the southern hemisphere. If you're in the northern hemisphere and you're listening to this and it feels right for you, then it's right for you. Typically, eclipse season, no matter where you are in the world, it's just a time to be more reflective, receptive, in a flow energy, doing some shadow work, and keeping your spirits up internally, because there might be things and revelations, especially during eclipse season, that you have of things that no longer serve you and things that shouldn't be in your orbit. And so the best way to deal with that is trying not to force yourself to feel normal and just allow things to come when they come, okay? For some of you, though, you are being inspired to take inspired action. Wow, inspired to take inspired action. You're being encouraged to take inspired action. And I feel like it has to do with the things that bring you joy. So while this might not be the most social time for whenever you're watching this, if you relate to this message, it is still going to be a time for you to prioritize yourself and enjoy yourself. Just because a season is one that's not as social, or a season is one that's supposed to be more reflective, doesn't mean that you're supposed to suffer. I don't actually think in life we're supposed to suffer. I think we go through suffering, but I think it's like a very lower level thinking to think it's because we deserve it. There are just some things that exist in the universe, some laws that the universe goes by that affects everyone. I mean, I think about like the life cycle of animals, and how this animal eats this animal and this whatever, and it's like, while all these animals are cute and we do so much to protect them and preserve them and to not have them die out, what we cannot do is stop them from experiencing suffering. We can't stop them from dying. Like, that's just nature. Even the if we're looking at like science's perspective of how anything came to be, it was some sort of like spontaneous event, like a spontaneous combustion or whatever, and then life formed. There's like a cycle of death and rebirth. At some point, this earth will probably have to die and everything on it. And if we're lucky, it'll get reborn and another cycle will continue. This is probably like millennia into the future that I'm talking about. And so I don't want you to claim suffering to that extent. Suffering happens anyway, but how you view it is massively going to affect how you come out at the end of it. Personally, I have had a lot of people in my personal life, some of them who ended up not being true friends, who would say to me, Tando, I've watched you go through some of the worst things a person can go through in this life, and you always come out on top. Like, I've watched you and I've thought, this is it. This has to be the thing that does her in. I don't understand why. Give her like 6 months, and she's in a whole different place. And it's because if I am going through suffering, I tend to isolate, and I think that's very healthy for me. Can't speak for you, but I have a lot of 12th house placements, and I think solitude is a great idea for anyone with water energy, especially. I isolate myself from other people because I need to hear myself clearly. I need to understand what I'm suffering with, how it makes me feel. I allow myself to sit in it, even though people think I don't, because from their perspective, I do things really fast. I don't know if it's because I have a water Mars, maybe, maybe what I think is slow actually isn't. I have a fire Mars. My Mars is in Leo, and then my Sun is in Libra. Maybe that the pace at which I process things might be quicker than for others, but it remains. I allow myself to wallow and cry and tell myself I don't deserve it. I commune with my most trusted friends, like the closest people to me only. And I don't commune on everything with people that I don't think have my best interest for me, including close family members. Because if I recognize that you have limited thinking or that you think in a way that is counterintuitive or counterproductive to my healing, then any advice that you give me is just not going to work. And in fact, it will just go in one ear and not the other. So why would I go through that process? And then on the other end of that, once I've done all of that, typically my spirit goes, okay, well, we've done that now, so let's go. What's the next step? And then typically, even while I'm in the wallowing phase, I start actively thinking about what it will look like when I'm ready. Because I really follow my intuition when it comes to when I'm going through a really dark period of time. And I feel like I have to be saying this for a reason. So I will wallow and then I'll start planning because of my Earth Moon. What will it look like on the other end of this? What would make me feel great? What would make me feel like on the other end of this, I am no longer in this present phase? For me, this can look like writing lists of things I want to do, changes I want to make. Things like maybe I want to like change how I'm physically presenting. So I might buy new clothes and I might decide what that looks like. I will probably do a little Pinterest board and then I might even mentally decide, okay, once I'm out of this, I want to block this person, this person, this person, because I don't want them to have access to me because I have now realized in my solitude that they didn't make me feel good anyway and I was just holding on to it for some stupid reason. And yada, yada, yada. And then on the other end of that, once I feel that it's lifting off me and I'm feeling that a new energy is presenting itself, I start making said changes. I don't make promises to myself that I don't mean. I don't talk to myself like the conversations are meaningless or momentary. I really converse with myself in like a deep and intrinsic way. People struggle a lot to face their shadows, and I think the best way to face your shadows is alone. You might struggle in a reading or when you're looking at your birth chart or when someone tells you that you're really, really selfish as a person. It might be really, really hard to hear somewhere in here. But then you can't change what you don't acknowledge. But being able to look at yourself alone in the mirror or in your house, whatever, and just be like, no, I recognize that I am selfish. It's in fact feedback I've gotten my entire life from all these different sources. And some of those sources were people that love me and wouldn't lie to me just to make me happy. And then from there, you go through a process of what does my selfishness look like presently? I'm always kind of giving you guys tips on how to do shadow work, and it's because I'm writing a shadow work book. And so, yeah, you're right, Kate. This is the ways in which I am most selfish from my perspective and from other people's perspective. What are things that I think are healthy levels of selfishness? Like, what things should I keep because they help me maintain me? They help me not compromise me and my values. And then you go, okay, and then what can I do to change the remaining attributes? In what ways can I be more thoughtful? In what ways? And then you implement it. It mightn't be perfect. It might take time to get to a place where you're like, okay, this looks good. This is a fantastic balance between me centering myself and me giving to my community. You need to be honest and open when good opportunities arise to communicate your needs, your worries, and your anxieties. Worries, anxieties, same things. I say when the opportunity presents itself because I'm not saying that you need to rush or go out of your way to confront people. I don't think that's the energy that we're in at the present moment. However, if you are having revelations as a case of all of these retrogrades and all of these eclipses, whatever you begin to understand anew, this can be a perfect opportunity to get something sorted out. Now, I do think most of you should sit on this at least for a couple of weeks just to fully unpack. I find in moments like these ones where there's so much happening celestially, you get downloads about a situation over time. Like just last week, it was honestly almost daily for me that Spirit was telling me things about one particular incident and then also other things as well. And it was sort of like slowly unraveling itself and the tea was spilling, so to speak. And so the reason I'm asking you to kind of wait on it, I'm not saying remove it off of your bucket list of things to do, things to tick off, but allow yourself to ruminate more, understand it fully. Say you realize that you've had a really jealous friend and you were actually just putting up with her because of your history. You've known each other for a long time. Your families are friends, and so you kind of gave her grace from that perspective. Thank you, Spirit. Once you realize that you've been neglecting to like really see her jealousy and her negative traits because it wasn't convenient and maybe because there was so much other things going on, but now you're really looking at the things differently. Allow yourself to really truly analyze the entirety of your relationship. Journal over multiple days, record yourself a voice memo over multiple days. If you have a really, really close, trusted friend, like my best friend, or I have a couple, but like any best friend, right? You speak to them. I know for me, and it could be also because my best friend is my sister sign. When I speak to her, she has so much insight on the same things that we're looking at, even if we're both there. And if I present like, oh, I've got this new information. Now I don't think I like this person because X, Y, and Z. And then we start talking about it together. It can be really nice to have someone with a different set of eyes to evaluate it differently. And then you compile your thoughts with their thoughts. And this can be maybe like a Libran way of thinking, but it really makes you kind of have a fuller understanding of it. And then you have a better place from which to even communicate your worries, because you might decide, maybe it's not for everyone, maybe I'm such an air sign, I just love cutting people off. You might decide you want to maintain the friendship, or you're going to at least try to fight for the friendship first, and so you might speak up and be like, hey, I've been noticing you've been doing X, Y, and Z. For our relationship to continue and to remain healthy, I'm going to need you to pack it in. I'm going to need you to do X, Y, and Z for me to feel healthy and for me to feel good about us. And so I feel like that's kind of where that card is going. Communicate after you've allowed yourself to do some protection spells, or at least put in some intent for you to feel protected. Allow yourself to meditate, allow yourself to look within, allow yourself to understand yourself and others, and then you can come in and talk to people. And this is just once again validating all these cards are actually very much overlapping. This card is about meditation, it's about calmness, it's about looking for serenity and feeling serenity within. So, to recap and to finish this reading off, because I don't really see much more that we could delve into, I think the message is pretty clear and self explanatory. Protect your peace, okay? Don't let it take away from you being unconditionally giving. But when I say unconditionally giving, I mean only to the things that you deem are worthy of you, only the things that you deem are worthy of your time and effort in this space. Not every stage of life can you be everything to everyone. But there are some things you can always be giving in some way at every phase of life. I truly believe that. But how giving you are and who you're giving to is completely up to your discretion. Whatever makes you happy. Don't let anyone force you into overgiving. Never. Okay? Take inspired action to chase the things that you care about. No one has to understand what it is, why it makes you feel good. No one has to even be there when you're doing these things. This is a solo journey with you and yourself. And then communicate your needs as appropriate. If someone is like, hey, I need you to come out, but you haven't gone clubbing with me, and you're like, I'm just not there, sorry. No, but like, you're always doing this. Like, look, actually, I've been meaning to say this, but I haven't felt like clubbing in a long time. I don't think that's something I'm going to feel like doing. So if that's detrimental to our friendship, you need to tell me. But if it's not, can we talk about like a range of things that you would want to do with me that aren't clubbing? And let's discuss what would make us both happy, right? It's all about communication. Let me know if you've resonated with this reading. If you liked it, please comment below. Let me know your thoughts, feelings, observations. Please consider liking, subscribing. I would truly appreciate any support that you have for me, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.